In the good old summertime, people flock to Delaware's beaches from all over the United States, but they come mainly from the region between Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. All types of ocean resort activity and recreation are available on the Delaware seaside. Surf bathing, sunbathing, strolling on the boardwalk, besides all the refinements and facilities of city life. These pleasure boats remind us that some sports, like sailing and fishing, can be enjoyed here during all seasons of the year. One of the most popular forms of recreation is camping on the public lands. This is Key Box Road, the major camping area in the state, and its popularity is increasing every year. Soon it must be enlarged again. But the same ocean, which is so beautiful and so attractive to vacationers, is playing havoc with the beaches. Every white-capped wave which splashes on the beach carries away some sand. Every salty roller which invigorates a happy bather also undermines the piers and jetties and corrodes the iron bolts and steel sheet piling. And when a real storm strikes the coast, sand is moved by the thousands of tons. The wind picks up the grains of sand and flings them in huge clouds until whole dunes have been blown away. The waves splash far up the beach and carry off acres of sand to the ocean bottom. After the storm, the residents come out to clear up the debris and repair their cottages. Everybody wonders how many more storms it will take to give this land back to the seagulls. Others are just thankful the storm stopped when it did, knowing that nothing lasts forever, except the ocean. Down on the beach, the protective groins were left high and dry, and without the likelihood of ever performing their function again. But men all over the world have had this problem when they lived by the sea. And though the storms may wash away the beaches and destroy the jetties and groins, and damage the boardwalks and cottages, it is possible for man to keep his land if he will fight for it. This eroded beach with its muddy shore and its battered groins can be restored to its former beauty and usefulness. Keats Hummock is one of the resort communities which suffered considerable damage from the storm of 1955. The beach was badly eroded, and many of the cottages were undermined and threatened with total destruction. In an effort to protect the cottages and prevent flooding of inland areas, a dike was built with mud taken from the bay bottom. A dike like this is not expected to last very long because it needs the strength of a wider beach to reduce the effect of the waves. Planting grass on the dike helps to keep it in place until the beach can be repaired. But building a dike with local mud made the water too deep for safe bathing. Slaughter Beach is another community which lost a large portion of its beach. Sand was washed away from the old groins, which were built many years ago, leaving them completely exposed and allowing the large stones to settle too deep to be an effective protection against the waves. In order to rebuild this beach, it was necessary to repair the existing groins and completely replace the sand. The Highway Department used fill brought from nearby borrow pits. The tidal waters dissolved and washed away the silt and clay, allowing the sand to settle into place naturally. This method of beach renewal is not satisfactory for all places. Borrow pits should be close. A good road is required, and many trucks are needed to place the sand during low tide. After the fill is dumped, it is bulldozed out to the water's edge. Then it must be graded properly or it will be washed away. Grading a beach is just as important as grading a road. After repairing the groins and placing the sand, the storm is but a memory. Here is the new beach. It is quite a contrast to this storm-washed site just after the damage was done. Notice how the groins are high and dry and how low and narrow the beach. Now, the same area presents this appearance, a fine, wide, protective beach. These damaged cottages show part of what happened at Broadkill Beach. The beach was scooped away, leaving a very narrow strip of sand that was covered with debris from the storm. Looking south, we see more of the ruined beach, with its exposed and now useless groins. To repair this damage, a dredge was used. It is seen here with a crane. Dredge fill is placed much cheaper and faster than by other methods. The dredge pumps sand directly from the bay bottom through a pipe to the low areas on shore. When one low area is filled, the sand is switched to another pipe while the first one is moved. Only stormy weather will slow down operations. Here are scenes of the finished beach. Only the tips of the old groins are visible now, and wide, well-graded beach protects the shore and is enjoyed by vacationers. This beach was rebuilt at a cost of less than 80 cents a cubic yard. Its value as a protection against floods and as a public resort can only be estimated. Repairs such as these can only be considered as an investment, not an expense. In the last 100 years, part of Delaware's coastline has been cut back 400 feet. At this rate, large parts of Kent and Sussex counties would soon be underwater. Conservation practices such as rebuilding beaches and dunes and planting grass upon them will do much to preserve Delaware's beaches and coastline for future generations to enjoy. If the storm had lasted a few more hours, these cottages at Lewis would have gone out to sea. To get immediate protection from the high tides which followed the storm, the Highway Department used bulldozers to build an emergency dike in front of the cottages. The groins, built many years ago, had much to do with the beach losses. Sand was held in place, but the groins did not affect a large enough area. New engineering knowledge has resulted in this system of 3 new groins, which should overcome the problem. Groins are cribs built of heavy timbers and filled with large rocks. They break the force of the waves and cause the sand to fall to the bottom instead of being washed away. Here again, the dredge was used in Roosevelt Inlet. These pipes are 27 inches in diameter, and the dredge can pump 45,000 cubic yards of sand per day through them. This is the same as saying that the dredge can place as much sand as 15,000 6-ton trucks. But even if there were so many trucks available, there are not enough heavy-duty roads in this area. Another advantage of dredging is that sand can be taken far enough from shore that it does not make the bathing area dangerous. The dredge can be moved about very easily under its own power. But the floating pipeline is relatively fragile and can be broken by storms. The pipe, resting on pontoons, is moved by means of the floating crane and a tugboat. The dredge works on continuous shifts 24 hours a day until the job is done. Aboard the dredge in Roosevelt Inlet, we see the pipe being laid on shore in preparation for filling low areas near Lewis. These are the large valves which control the flow of sand through the pipes. A large quantity of water is pumped through the pipes with the sand. This water makes placing the fill where it is wanted a very easy task. Very little grading is required after the sand has been washed into place, but in every case, it is necessary that the beach be graded properly. This rebuilt beach has little resemblance to the storm-battered coast we saw here earlier. The groins are now completely covered except for the shore end tips. Do you recognize this place? It is the same place where the waves had undermined the cottages and a fence was dangling over the edge. This is a graphic example of what can be done at reasonable cost to protect the tremendous investment in our coastal summer resorts. Then, with annual replacement of sand losses, the beaches should last for generations.